Hi guys, and welcome to the very first video on the Lola Michelle Creative YouTube channel. I'm really nervous to make this video, not only because it's really vulnerable to talk about the things that I'm talking about, but also because it's my first video and I don't have a lot of experience talking to the camera like this, and it's really nerve-wracking. So I hope that this video is really helpful to you. Um, so today in the first video, I wanted to talk a little bit about my financial journey and what got me to the place that I am now. I do have a list of talking points over here so that I don't go rapidly off course because I have a problem with doing that. So if you see me looking over here, that is what that information is. I am hoping that starting this channel and doing this first video does a couple of things. I hope that I can be vulnerable, and in doing so, I can remove some of the stigma and shame that comes along with not only the topic of money itself, but also money mistakes and dealing with debt and changing your life and hitting rock bottom, and knowing that no matter where you are financially right now, you can turn it around and you can make the remaining 50, 30, 20, 10 years of your um, financial life, your career, you can use it to build financial wealth for yourself and for your family. And I didn't always believe that. I thought that I was destined to just work and live paycheck to paycheck. And the last year and my last journey, the last year has really shown me that I have the power to transform our lives, me and my husband's lives, financially. We can do it together. We don't have to be millionaires. And I hope that I can do that for somebody else. I also hope that I can build my own community and get accountability for the big dreams that we have over the next 5 or 10 years, specifically the big goals that we have for the next 5 years. And I'll share those with you in a different video. But I don't know how long I'm going to do YouTube. I don't know if it's going to be one video or 5 videos or 100 videos. I will keep doing it as long as it's helping people. And so that's kind of my goals with this video and this channel. I hope to remove some stigma and some shame. I hope to inspire people, and I hope to build a community and accountability amongst the goals that I have, and hopefully the goals that you have as well. So enough of that. I'm going to go ahead and get started and talk about my journey and my journey with my husband over the past. We've been together for 13 years, 14 years, 13 years this year. And so yeah, let's go ahead and jump into my journey with money over the last few decades and how I got to where I am today. So growing up, I didn't have a ton of education about money. It wasn't something that was necessarily talked about. I definitely knew that we didn't have a ton of money, but I never necessarily wanted for anything. I don't remember like utilities getting shut off a lot or anything that's not just, I don't know, but it wasn't part of my memories. But I definitely knew that we didn't have a lot of extra money, although my mom worked very, very hard and has always worked really hard. She was a single mom for the first, few years of my life, and then my stepdad joined us. And so that was kind of my life growing up. We didn't talk about money. I didn't know how to save. I didn't know what you were supposed to do with your money, any of that. So when me and my husband started dating in 2007, we were about 17 years old, and Caleb worked in retail, and I moved to Pittsburgh to be with him. And his mom graciously hosted me in their house. And, we definitely weren't doing anything specific with our money. The money would come in and we would spend it, and the money would come in and we would spend it. And shortly after that, we got our first apartment, and kind of the same thing. Money would come in and we would spend it, and there was no plan. And we both worked, but it was definitely thin. Money was spread pretty thin in our early 20s. Then we got married at 22 in 2012. We paid for our entire wedding ourselves for the most part. My mom did help out a little bit as well. And but for the most part, our wedding was about $10,000, and we paid for the whole thing ourselves. Working retail, and I worked in some customer service positions. But it was a beautiful wedding. I'm super proud of our wedding. I have no regrets about the intimacy and smallness of our wedding. I'm really proud that we paid for that ourselves. And I had a slight plan around that time about saving for that specific goal. So that was probably my first introduction to budgeting, although I wouldn't say it was consistent. And once we got married, we lived apart for a little bit, just because of certain situations. We had to live apart for a short period of time. And then we moved in together, and we got another apartment. And over that course of that year, we saved up a little bit of money and were able to buy a house. We bought our first house in 2014. That's the same house that we live in now. We were able to buy it for a very small amount of money down through an FHA loan. We put down about $3,000 roughly on a $100,000 house. And yeah, we were really excited. I was really, really proud of us. It's not something that a lot of people our age were doing around us. So I really felt like we were on the right track. But I didn't know that just because for a short period of time we were able to save up, which are something that was arguably a small amount of money, didn't mean that we had our financial bearings about us and that we knew what we were doing. And that was quickly realized by mid 2016, when we were 25, 26 years old, and we were filing for bankruptcy. That is something that's really, really embarrassing to say out loud. We haven't told many people. So if you're one of our family or friends and you're watching this, surprise. Although the people that we have around us are extremely loving people, and I doubt that it would affect anything. It was really shameful and lonely and embarrassing. Sorry. Us filing bankruptcy wasn't due to not having enough money. It wasn't because, we couldn't afford where we were living. It was because we didn't have the right tools. We didn't have the right mindset to manage our money properly. It also had to do with me working for myself a lot of that time, and income being kind of hit or miss with that. And that did impact that a little bit, but it really came down to our mindset and our goals, and also came down to our lack of communication, which I'll get into shortly. We did a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. We did a 3-year version versus the 5-year because I wanted to be done with it. I wanted to move past that shameful part. And once we took a look at our actual budget, we were able to do it in that shorter amount of time, which was really relieving, that we wouldn't have to, even though if you had to do 5 years, there's nothing shameful about that, but we just wanted to kind of power through it. We paid roughly $1,200 a month, a little over that, about closer to $13,100, good Lord, $1,300 a month, which included our mortgage, and the back payment to our mortgage, as well as a few other debts. We really didn't have many debts, thank God, outside of our mortgage, which we were behind on. We didn't have a ton of credit card debts. The only other thing we really had was student loans and a few medical bills, which unfortunately Chapter 13 doesn't assist you with. So it was really just the mortgage and then a few really small credit cards that we had in Caleb's name. And so we went ahead and moved forward with that. The whole experience was really humiliating, but we were lucky to have a really great lawyer who explained to us that unfortunately this is something that happens all the time. And she works with a lot of people our age. That was another part that was really shameful. I just felt like we were so young and so early in our careers that to have royally screwed it up this early was really awful. We didn't have any kids. I just kept asking myself, how did we get here? And I knew that it was largely my fault specifically, and that's where it comes into the communication part, which was our biggest mistake in how we got to that place. Caleb made the majority of the money coming into the household. He's a very hard worker. He's been in the same company for quite a long time now and makes great money. And so he was bringing in a lot of the money that was coming in consistently. And so I kind of took in the role of managing the money and paying the bills. And when stuff became a problem, I didn't communicate it in a way that I think really made him understand because I was embarrassed. And of course, when we got to the point that we had to file the bankruptcy, and we really had a discussion about it, he never shamed me or made me feel bad about it or anything like that. He's an incredible husband, but it really did come down to my lack of communication with him. I think a lot of women might feel this when you take on the role of managing the house, managing the money, and you're not really talking about it a ton. It's a really lonely place to be. It's a crushing place to be. Oftentimes you're the one sitting at home wondering which bill you need to take money from, or, how much you have in groceries this month because you had to cover this bill that's already past due. And there's just a lot of guilt that comes along with that. And so the biggest way that we moved forward past our bankruptcy was to really start communicating about how much our bills were, how much was coming in and out of the house, what our goals were. And some things we had to compromise on. Some things were big goals for me, and some big things were big goals for him. And we had to find a place in the middle on some things where we could, where we knew where we wanted to head together. And so that if there is any takeaway that I want you to have from this video, it is two things. It is one, that if you are in a place right now where you are feeling financially crushed, or even just uncertain, unsteady about your own financial situation, there is no shame in that. And recognizing that that is a problem is the first step. And I know that's kind of cliche, but really recognizing that you are not handling your money well, you are not doing a good job, is the first step. And it's okay, because you can learn and you can get better and you can change, and you can reach big financial goals, but you have to realize that you're not doing a good job right now. And then the second thing would be, if you're in a partnership, to communicate about that. Communicate about the debt that you have, put it out in the open. Talk about how you can, what debts are the biggest priority, what your goals are. Get on the same page with your partner. So by doing that, by getting on the same page, by becoming aware that I was not handling our money well and Caleb was not being an active participant in our money, we have been able to drastically change the direction of our family, of our financial future in the last year. So in the last year, a little over a year ago, we got out of our bankruptcy, which is great, which was a huge relief. But then it was game time. It was time to make sure that we were not going back to that place. So over the past year, by budgeting and by communicating, we've been able to pay off almost $6,000 in debt. We've saved almost $18,000 for different situations and for our financial future, which we'll talk about in a different video. And we have a huge 5-year plan that I absolutely know is possible because of the changes that we've made in the last year. And some of those goals include putting $100,000 down on a house, paying off $40,000 in debt, building our emergency fund to 3 to 6 months of expenses, and more. And like I said, I will talk to you guys about that in a different video. I want you to know that a budget is not restrictive. I know it sounds like that, but a budget is absolute freedom. It gives you the ability to know exactly how much is coming in and to give every one of those dollars a job and a purpose. The other day, what is today? Saturday. So Thursday, our water heater went in our house. It cracked at the bottom and it was draining all over the floor and it was horrible. But I had the ability to step back, not panic. I knew that we had the money set aside for however much that was going to cost. And, the water heater was old. It was, well past its prime. It needed to be replaced at some other time. But had this happened a year and a half ago, I wouldn't have known where the money was going to come from. I wouldn't have known if we would be able to afford it. We could have been without hot water for a much longer period of time because of the work that we have put in the last year. The next afternoon, I had somebody over here replacing it. I was able to pay for the labor and not have my husband go through looking up on YouTube how to do that and possibly putting us in an unsafe situation with the gas line or, something like that. I was able to cover all of that, call around, get the best value. And it was emotional for me. I had a moment where, I had to just sit down and realize this is what we have been working towards. There are a lot of bigger goals that we have also been working towards, but that feeling, that ability to not panic, that is the ultimate goal. And it is the ultimate freedom that comes with having a budget. And I don't want to get too preachy on you guys because I know I'm super passionate about this, but I've heard so many people say things like, that a budget is restrictive, basically, that they don't want to live on beans and rice. And we do not live on beans and rice. We go out, we grocery shop, in a way that is, we have everything that we want, although I'm more cautious about how much we're spending. I don't go to Walmart and spend $300 on groceries on half the stuff that's going to go bad and we don't use anyway, and then continue to do that the next week as well. But we definitely don't want for anything. You can change your family tree by just taking a little bit of initiative right now and figuring out what the best budget is for your family, what your goals are, and how you're going to achieve them. So I don't want to go on any further. I know this video was already really long, and I know I was all over the place. Hopefully I'll get better at this. I'm really excited to help people. I'm really excited to show you how this is possible. In my next video, I'm going to show you how to start a budget, and I'm going to show you my November budget with our real numbers, because I think that it's great to see budgeting as an idea, but I think seeing how people are actually achieving their goals is much more helpful. So to quote the budget mom, who I love so much and was one of the first people I found on YouTube, if you're not following her, go follow her. She's incredible. I don't follow her whole plan to a T, but she's super, super inspiring to me. And to quote her, stop leaving the dreams, the big dreams, up to the millionaires. You can accomplish so much with a little bit of dedication and hard work. And I will see you guys in the next video.